Admiral Vexstar stood in the crystal command chamber, looking at the glowing displays that surrounded him. The tall alien had blue skin that shimmered in the light. His forearms moved quickly as he studied the reports from his intelligence officers. The Zephyrian Empire was planning their biggest conquest yet, the human colonies near the edge of their territory. "Show me what the humans are sending to defend themselves," Vexstar said to his intelligence chief, Kreesach. The smaller alien with gray skin and large black eyes touched a control panel. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. The image showed a single human ship floating in space. It looked old and crude compared to the sleek Zephyrian vessels. The human ship was thick and blocky, covered in what looked like heavy metal armor. Smoke came from its engines, and it moved slowly through space. "This is their response?" Vexstar laughed. His voice echoed through the chamber. "One ship? They send one ship to fight our entire fleet?" Other officers in the room began to laugh too. Commander Jaxel, a young Zephyrian with green markings on his blue skin, stepped forward. "Admiral, our scouts confirm this is their only military response. The ship is called the UES Defiant. It has 847 crew members and appears to use primitive technology." Kreesh brought up more information on the hologram. "Look at this, Admiral. They still use chemical fuel for their engines. Their weapons appear to be simple metal projectiles fired by magnetic rails. They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no quantum drives. It's like looking at technology from the Stone Age." Vexstar walked around the hologram, studying the human ship from every angle. "What is that thick coating on their hull?" "Steel and titanium armor plating, sir," Kreesh replied. "Very thick, very heavy, very primitive. No civilized species has used solid armor for thousands of years. Everyone knows energy shields are far superior." The Admiral nodded. Energy shields could deflect almost any attack and used very little power. Why would anyone build a ship with heavy metal plates when shields were so much better? It made no sense. "Their weapons are equally outdated," Commander Jaxel added. "They fire solid projectiles instead of energy beams. Our shields will stop their primitive bullets easily. A child could defend against such weapons." Vexstar studied the tactical display showing human space. 12 colony worlds with millions of humans lived peacefully, unaware that the Zephyrian Empire was about to claim their worlds. The humans had rich planets with valuable resources. Taking them would make the Empire even more powerful. "How many ships do we have in the attack fleet?" Vexstar asked. 3,000 warships, Admiral," replied his chief of staff. "Each one equipped with the finest plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and shield generators. Our smallest patrol ship has more firepower than anything the humans possess." The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 different alien species. Some had fought bravely, others had surrendered quickly, but all of them had lost in the end. The Zephyrians had better technology, better weapons, and better tactics. No species could stand against them for long. "This human ship is probably their best effort," Vexstar said. "They sent everything they had, and this is it. One outdated vessel with ancient weapons." He turned to Commander Jaxel. "Take Patrol Squadron 7 and destroy this ship. Use minimal force. We want some humans alive for questioning." Jaxel saluted with all 4 of his arms. "It will be my honor, Admiral. 12 ships should be more than enough for one primitive vessel." "Make it quick," Vexstar ordered. "I want to begin the main invasion within 2 days. The sooner we claim human space, the sooner we can start mining their worlds." Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant. She was a woman in her 40s with short black hair and calm brown eyes. Around her, human crew members worked at their stations. The bridge looked simple compared to alien technology, with basic computer screens and metal controls. Marcus, give me a status report, Chun said to the ship's AI. All systems operating normally. Captain, replied the artificial intelligence. We are approaching the Zephyrian border. Enemy patrol ships detected at maximum sensor range. Chun looked at the main screen showing empty space ahead of them. Soon, alien ships would appear. The Zephyrians thought humans were weak and primitive. They thought one human ship could not possibly threaten their mighty empire. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Tactical, what's our ammunition status? Chun asked. Full load, Captain, replied Lieutenant Torres from the weapons station. Railguns loaded with tungsten penetrators. Missile tubes loaded and ready. All systems show green. Chun nodded. The Defiant carried weapons that looked simple, but were actually very advanced. The railguns could fire metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The missiles had smart guidance systems that could think and adapt during flight. Everything was designed with one purpose: to fight enemies who had energy shields and plasma weapons. Engineering, how are our power levels? Chun asked. Reactor at full power, Captain, came the reply from Chief Engineer Rodriguez. Armor plating is fully charged and ready. All backup systems are online. The thick armor that covered the Defiant was not just metal plates. It was a complex system designed to absorb and deflect energy weapons. While other species made their ships light and fast, humans made theirs tough and strong. Captain, incoming transmission from the approaching alien ships, said Communications Officer Park. Put it on screen, Chun ordered. Soon they would make contact with the Zephyrian Patrol Squadron. The aliens expected an easy victory against one human ship. They thought humans were too primitive to pose any real threat. Captain Chen smiled slightly as she watched the enemy ships approach. The Zephyrians had studied human technology and decided it was outdated and weak. They had no idea that humans built their ships to fight exactly this kind of enemy. All hands, battle stations, Chun announced over the ship's communication system. Prepare to show our new friends what human engineering can do. The crew moved quickly to their positions. Everyone knew their job. Everyone was ready for what came next. The U.S. Defiant moved forward through space, heading toward the alien patrol squadron. Admiral Vextar and his officers thought they knew everything about human capabilities. They thought one human ship would be easy to destroy. They were about to discover that when humans built something for war, they built it to win. Commander Jaxel watched his patrol squadron move into position around the human ship. 12 Zephyrian vessels formed a perfect circle around the U.S. Defiant. Each alien ship was sleek and beautiful, with smooth curves and glowing energy cores. They looked like works of art compared to the blocky human vessel. Target the human ship's engines, Jaxel ordered from his command chair. Use low-power plasma bolts. We want to disable them, not destroy them completely. His weapons officer nodded. Targeting their rear propulsion systems, Commander. Plasma cannons set to minimum power. Jaxel opened a communication channel to the human ship. Human vessel, this is Commander Jaxel of the Zephyrian Imperial Navy. You have entered restricted space. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. The response came quickly. A human female appeared on his screen. She had short dark hair and wore a simple blue uniform. Her voice was calm and steady. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Defiant. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from human space. Jaxel and his bridge crew laughed. The human captain looked so serious, as if her one ship could threaten 12 Zephyrian warships. It was almost cute how brave she was being. Human, you are greatly outnumbered, Jaxel said. Your primitive ship cannot fight our advanced technology. Surrender now, and we will treat you well. 20 seconds. Captain Chun replied. then closed the communication channel. JAX, single quotes, all shook his head in amazement. The humans must be even more primitive than we thought. They cannot count properly. Fire the plasma cannons. Disable their engines. Blue beams of energy shot out from the Zephyrin ships. The plasma bolts struck the Defiant's thick armor plating and spread across the surface like water hitting a rock. The energy dissipated harmlessly, leaving no damage at all. Weapons officer, did you forget to charge the cannons? Jaxel asked, staring at his display. No, sir. The plasma bolts hit the target directly, but their armor appears to be absorbing our energy weapons completely. Jaxel frowned. No armor could completely absorb plasma fire. Even the strongest materials would show some damage from direct hits. Increase power to maximum. Hit them with everything we have. The Zephyrian ships fired again, this time with full power. Bright blue plasma beams hammered the human ship from all directions. The energy was enough to destroy a small moon, but the Defiant's armor held firm. The thick metal plating seemed to drink the energy attacks like a sponge. Impossible, whispered Jaxel's science officer. Their armor is not just thick, it's designed specifically to absorb energy weapons. The metal contains special materials that convert plasma fire into harmless heat. Before Jaxel could respond, the human ship fired back. Small objects shot out from the Defiant at incredible speed. They looked like simple metal bullets, the kind of primitive ammunition that no civilized species used anymore. Activate shields, Jaxel ordered. Those projectiles cannot harm us. The Zephyrian energy shields shimmered around their ships like invisible bubbles. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons, radiation, and fast-moving debris. They had protected Zephyrin ships for thousands of years. The human projectiles passed through the shields like they were not there at all. Jaxel watched in horror as tungsten penetrators moving at 1/3 the speed of light punched through his ship's hulls. The metal projectiles were so fast and so dense that the energy shields could not even detect them properly. 3 Zephyrian ships exploded instantly. The tungsten cores went completely through their hulls, destroying everything important inside. Life support failed, engines died, and the ships became floating wreckage in seconds. All ships retreat. Jaxel screamed into his communicator. Fall back to the outer system. The remaining 9 Zephyrian vessels fled as fast as their engines could carry them. Jaxel's ship was damaged but still working. A human projectile had passed through his port engine room, barely missing the main reactor. Get me Admiral Vexstar immediately, Jaxel ordered his communications officer. Minutes later, the Admiral's face appeared on the screen. Commander, report your status. Admiral, we have lost 3 ships, Jaxel said, his voice shaking. The human weapons ignore our shields completely. Their armor absorbs our plasma fire without any damage at all. Vexstar's expression changed from confidence to confusion. That is impossible. No primitive species can have such advanced defensive technology. I am sending you the battle recordings now, sir, Jaxel replied. See for yourself. The Admiral watched the footage in silence. He saw the plasma bolts strike the human ship and do nothing. He saw the tungsten projectiles pass through Zephyrian shields like they were air. He saw 3 warships die in seconds from weapons that looked like ancient bullets. How can metal projectiles ignore energy shields? Vexstar asked. Jaxel's science officer answered. Admiral, our shields work by deflecting energy and charged particles. But these human projectiles are solid matter moving at extreme velocity. The shields cannot interact with them at all. And their armor? Specially designed to absorb energy weapons, sir. The humans appear to have studied our technology and built defenses specifically to counter it. Admiral Vexstar stared at the recordings for a long time. No species had ever completely negated Zephyrian weapons before. Every enemy they had fought used similar technology: energy weapons, plasma shields, and light armor. The humans were different. They had built their ship to fight exactly this kind of battle. "Admiral," Jaxel continued, "the human captain sent another message after the battle." "What did she say?" "She said this is what one human ship can do. She claimed they have 12,000 more ships like this one. She demanded that we withdraw from human space immediately." Vexstar felt a chill run down his spine. 12,000 ships like the Defiant? If one ship could destroy 3 Zephyrian vessels so easily, what could a whole fleet do? "Sir, what are your orders?" Jaxel asked. The Admiral thought carefully. His patrol squadron had been defeated by primitive weapons that his scientists said were impossible. The humans had turned advanced technology against itself, using simple solutions to beat complex problems. "Return to base immediately," Vexstar ordered. "I need to speak with the High Council. We may have seriously underestimated these humans." As Jaxel's damaged squadron limped home, Captain Chun stood on the bridge of the Defiant. She had won the first battle, but she knew more would come. The Zephyrians would not give up so easily. "Marcus, send a message to Earth Command," Chun ordered. "Tell them first contact has been made. The aliens use exactly the weapons and defenses we expected. Our equipment worked perfectly." "Message sent, Captain," the AI replied. "Earth Command acknowledges. The main fleet is still en route." Chun nodded. The Defiant was just the beginning. Soon the Zephyrians would learn what happened when someone threatened human colonies. They would discover that humans have been preparing for this fight for a very long time. Admiral Vexstar stood before the High Council of the Zephyrian Empire. The 5 ancient leaders sat on floating crystal thrones, their faces showing anger and disbelief. They had ruled for centuries and conquered dozens of worlds. No primitive species had ever embarrassed them like this. 3 ships destroyed by 1 human vessel? High Counselor Zarth spoke with a voice like grinding stone. "How is this possible?" "The humans have designed their weapons specifically to counter our technology," Vexstar explained. "Their projectiles ignore energy shields, and their armor absorbs plasma fire completely. Then we use more ships," declared High Counselor Nexar. Her red eyes glowed with fury. "Send Battle Group Talon. 50 of our finest warships should overwhelm any primitive vessel." Vexstar wanted to object, but he knew better than to argue with the Council. "Yes, High Counselor. I will lead the attack personally." "Make them pay for this insult," Zarth commanded. "Show these humans the true power of the Zephyrian Empire." 2 days later, 50 Zephyrian warships surrounded the UE's Defiant in deep space. Admiral Vexstar commanded from his flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Star Piercer. Each ship in his battle group was armed with the Empire's most powerful weapons. "Human vessel, you are completely surrounded," Vexstar transmitted to Captain Chun. 50 ships against 1. Even you must see that resistance is hopeless." Captain Chun's face appeared on his screen. She looked as calm as before, showing no fear at all. "Admiral, I appreciate you bringing more targets. My crew was getting bored." Vexstar could not believe her confidence. Either humans were the bravest species in the galaxy, or they were completely insane. "This is your final warning. Surrender now or be destroyed." "I have a better idea," Chun replied. "Let me show you what human engineering is really capable of." The communication ended, and Vexstar watched his sensors carefully. The human ship began to change. Metal plates on its hull started moving, sliding apart like the petals of a flower. Hidden compartments opened all across the vessel's surface. "What are they doing?" Vexstar asked his science officer. "The ship appears to be transforming, Admiral." Those metal plates were not just armor. They were covering weapons. More and more gun barrels emerged from the Defiant's hull. Railgun batteries, missile launchers, and point defense systems appeared from every direction. What had looked like one simple ship was actually a floating weapons platform covered in disguise. "By the ancient stars," whispered Vextar. "How many weapons does that ship carry?" His answer came quickly. The Defiant opened fire with everything it had. Hundreds of tungsten penetrators shot out at incredible speed. Missiles launched from hidden tubes, each one guided by its own thinking computer. The space around the human ship filled with deadly projectiles. The Zephyrian ships activated their shields and tried to return fire. But just like before, their energy barriers could not stop solid matter moving so fast. Tungsten cores punched through hull after hull like they were made of paper. "All ships, maximum firepower," Vextar ordered. "Destroy that ship." 50 Zephyrian vessels fired at once. The space around the Defiant became bright with plasma beams and energy torpedoes. Enough firepower to destroy a small planet hammered the human ship's armor. The armor held. The thick metal plating absorbed every energy attack without showing damage. The humans had built their ship to fight exactly this kind of enemy, and it showed. Meanwhile, the human missiles were doing terrible damage to the Zephyrian fleet. Each missile had a computer brain that learned and adapted during flight. When a Zephyrian ship tried to shoot down a missile, the missile remembered the defense and told other missiles how to avoid it. "Admiral, we are losing ships too quickly," reported his tactical officer. "The human weapons are learning from our defenses faster than we can adapt." Vextar watched in horror as his beautiful warships died one by one. The human projectiles were so fast that his ships could barely track them. The missiles were so smart that they found weaknesses in Zephyrian defenses within seconds. "How can one ship carry so many weapons?" Vextar demanded. "Their entire ship is a weapon, sir," his science officer replied. "While we build separate ships for different purposes, the humans built one ship that can do everything." A missile struck Vextar's flagship, penetrating deep into the hull before exploding. The blast killed dozens of crew members and damaged the main reactor. Alarms rang throughout the ship as systems failed. "Sir, we must retreat," urged his first officer. "We have lost 30 ships already. If we stay, the entire battle group will be destroyed." Vextar looked at his tactical display. 30 ships dead in 15 minutes. The human vessel showed no damage at all and was still firing at full power. His proud battle group was being massacred by weapons that looked primitive but worked perfectly. "All remaining ships, fall back to the outer system," Vextar ordered. "Emergency retreat." The surviving Zephyrian vessels fled as fast as they could. Behind them, the UE's Defiant stopped firing and watched them go. Captain Chun's voice followed them on all frequencies. "Admiral Vextar, this is Captain Chun. I hope you are beginning to understand. This is what one human patrol ship can do. We have 12,000 ships in our fleet, including dreadnoughts that make the Defiant look like a toy." Vextar's blood turned cold. If this ship was just a patrol vessel, what were the human dreadnoughts like? Furthermore, Chun continued, "Our main battle fleet launched from Earth 6 months ago when your first scout ships were detected in our space. They will arrive in 72 hours. I suggest you use that time wisely." The communication ended, leaving Vextar staring at empty space. 6 months ago? The humans had been planning for this battle since before first contact. They had known the Zephyrians were coming and had prepared accordingly. "Get me the High Council immediately," Vextar ordered. When the council appeared on his screen, they looked furious. "Admiral, explain this disaster," demanded Zareth. "The humans are not primitive," Vextar said quietly. "They have been studying our technology for months. They built their ships specifically to counter our weapons and defenses. Every advantage we thought we had has been turned against us." "Impossible," declared Nexara. No species could advance so quickly. They did not need to advance, Vextar replied. They took a completely different path. While we perfected energy weapons, they perfected kinetic weapons. While we built light ships with shields, they built heavy ships with armor. They chose the one type of technology that makes ours useless. High Counselor Zureth was quiet for a long moment. How many ships do they have? They claim 12,000, plus larger vessels they call dreadnoughts. If their patrol ship can destroy 50 of our warships, I do not want to face their entire fleet. What do you recommend, Admiral? Vextar looked at the tactical display, showing his remaining 20 ships. Half his battle group was gone, destroyed by weapons that his empire's greatest scientists had called impossible. I recommend we negotiate, he said, before their main fleet arrives. The High Council would not like that answer, but it was the truth. The Zephyrian Empire had finally met a species that was stronger than they were. The humans had been ready for this fight from the beginning, and they had planned to win it completely. High Counselor Zureth refused to accept defeat. His pride would not allow the mighty Zephyrian Empire to bow to a single human ship. Against Admiral Vextar's advice, he ordered the largest fleet in their history to assemble. 3,000 ships, Zareth declared to the Emergency Council session. Every vessel we can spare from across the Empire. No species can stand against such overwhelming force. Admiral Vextar stood before the council with his head bowed. High Counselor, I strongly advise against this action. The humans have proven they can counter our technology. Numbers alone may not be enough. Silence. Nexar's voice echoed through the chamber. You lost 50 ships to one primitive vessel. Your tactical skills are clearly inadequate. Fleet Admiral Corthan will lead the Grand Armada. Fleet Admiral Corthan was the Empire's greatest military leader. He had conquered more worlds than any other commander in Zephyrian history. His forearms bore scars from a dozen campaigns, and his tactical genius was legendary. I will crush these humans completely, Corthan declared. 3,000 ships will turn their single vessel into space dust. The Grand Armada assembled over 3 days. Warships came from every corner of the Empire. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, destroyers, and carriers filled space around the Zephyrian homeworld. It was the largest military force ever gathered in galactic history. As the fleet prepared to depart, Zephyrian intelligence officers worked desperately to learn more about human capabilities. What they discovered filled them with growing horror. Fleet Admiral, reported Chief Intelligence Officer Vashtek, we have intercepted human communications. The vessel we fought is not their main battleship. Of course not, Corthan replied confidently. It is probably their flagship or most advanced prototype. No, sir. It is listed in their fleet registry as a basic patrol vessel. Class designation: Standard Deep Space Monitor. Corthan paused in reviewing his tactical plans. A patrol ship destroyed 50 of our finest warships? Yes, sir. Furthermore, human fleet composition shows they have vessel classes called dreadnoughts, planetary siege ships, and world breakers. Each world breaker class ship is reported to carry enough kinetic ordnance to shatter a planet's crust. The fleet admiral felt his confidence beginning to waver. If a patrol ship could devastate a battle group, what could their dedicated warships do? There is more, sir, Vashtek continued. Human military doctrine appears to be fundamentally different from ours. They do not build ships to fight battles. They build ships to end wars permanently. Corthan studied the intelligence reports more carefully. Human ship names were disturbing. Inevitable. Overkill. Final solution. Never again. These were not names chosen by a peaceful species. Sir, we have also decoded their tactical communications, another intelligence officer reported. Human military strategy focuses on what they call overwhelming response doctrine, when any human colony is threatened. They deploy enough force to completely eliminate the threat. What does that mean exactly? Corthan asked. It means they do not fight to win battles, sir. They fight to ensure no one ever attacks them again. Human fleet doctrine calls for the complete destruction of any species that threatens human civilians. Corthan read through the decoded documents with growing alarm. Human military planning was not about defense. It was about making war so terrible that enemies would never consider fighting again. Fleet Admiral. Urgent priority message from our deep space sensors, called his communications officer. What is it? We are detecting multiple gravity signatures approaching from human space. Very large vessels decelerating from near light speed. The tactical display updated to show what was coming. Not one ship or 50 ships, but 127 massive vessels traveling at incredible velocity. Each ship was enormous, dwarfing even the largest Zephyrian dreadnoughts. How long have those ships been traveling? Corthan asked. Based on their trajectory and speed, they launched from Earth approximately 6 months ago. His navigation officer replied, 6 months. The humans had sent their fleet before first contact even occurred. They had been planning this confrontation from the moment they detected Zephyrian scouts near their territory. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human fleet, reported communications. Put it on main screen. A human appeared on the display. He was an older man with gray hair and cold blue eyes. His uniform was simple, but his bearing was that of a veteran warrior. I am Fleet Admiral Jackson of the United Earth Navy, the human said. Admiral Vexstar, Captain Chun has informed me of recent events. I want you to know that she has shown remarkable restraint. Vexstar, who had joined the Grand Armada as an advisor, felt his blood turn to ice. If Captain Chun had been restrained, what would this fleet do without restraint? You may be wondering why we sent such a large force for what you consider a minor border dispute, Admiral Jackson continued. The answer is simple. Human doctrine does not recognize minor threats to our civilians. When someone targets our colonies, we do not repel the attack. We remove the threat permanently. Corthan studied the approaching human ships on his sensors. Each vessel bristled with weapon systems. Their armor was even thicker than the Defiance, and their energy signatures suggested massive kinetic weapon arrays. Furthermore, Jackson continued, our ships carry protocols called Scorched Earth. These protocols authorize the complete destruction of any species that attempts to harm human civilians. Not just military targets, but all infrastructure, all technology, all capability to ever threaten anyone again. The communication paused, letting that sink in. The humans were not just talking about winning a war. They were talking about ending the Zephyrian Empire completely. However, Jackson said, we prefer not to use such extreme measures. We offer an alternative. Immediate withdrawal from human space, reparations for the colonies you threatened, and a formal non-aggression treaty. In exchange, we will provide defensive technologies that make energy shields effective against kinetic weapons. Corthan looked at his tactical display showing 3,000 Zephyrian ships facing 127 human vessels. The numbers seemed to favor his fleet, but he no longer felt confident about anything. You have 1 hour to respond, Admiral Jackson concluded. After that, we implement Scorched Earth protocols and eliminate the Zephyrian Empire as a threat to galactic peace. The communication ended, leaving silence on the bridge. Corthan had commanded fleets for decades, but he had never faced an enemy like this. The humans did not fight for territory or resources. They fought to make sure no one would ever threaten them again. Sir, what are your orders? Asked his first officer. Corthan looked at the intelligence reports spread across his command console. Human ships designed specifically to counter Zephyrian technology. Human doctrine focused on overwhelming response to any threat. Human willingness to completely destroy enemies who targeted their civilians. For the first time in his military career, Fleet Admiral Corthan was afraid. "Get me the High Council," he ordered. "We need to discuss terms." The mighty Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, was about to surrender to a species they had considered primitive just days before. The humans had taught them a lesson that would echo through the galaxy. Some species were too dangerous to fight, and humans were definitely one of them. High Counselor Zurath stared at the tactical display showing 127 human dreadnoughts positioned around his grand armada. Each human ship was broadcasting the same message on all frequencies, and the words chilled him to his core. "Admiral Vexstar, this is Fleet Admiral Jackson aboard the Use Ragnarok. Captain Chun has been remarkably restrained. We are not." Zarath had ruled the Zephyrian Empire for 3 centuries. He had overseen the conquest of dozens of worlds and the submission of countless species. Never before had he faced an ultimatum from what should have been an inferior civilization. "Fleet Admiral Corthan, explain how we went from fighting one human ship to facing an entire fleet," Zarath demanded. Corthan's image on the communication screen looked haggard. "High Counselor, the humans have been planning for this confrontation since they first detected our scouts 6 months ago. They sent Captain Chun as a warning while their main fleet traveled across the galaxy." "A warning?" "She destroyed 50 of our ships." "Yes, sir, and according to intercepted communications, her actions were considered minimal force by human standards." Zarath felt a chill run through his body. If destroying 50 warships was minimal force, what did the humans consider maximum force? Admiral Jackson's voice came over the communication system again. "High Council of the Zephyrian Empire, I know you are listening. Let me explain why we sent such overwhelming force for what you consider a minor border incident." The human admiral appeared on screens throughout the Zephyrian fleet. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold as winter stars. "Human military doctrine is simple," Jackson continued. "When someone threatens our civilians, we do not just defend them. We ensure that no one ever threatens them again. This is why we build ships like the Ragnarok." Camera views showed the interior of the human flagship. Massive kinetic weapon batteries lined endless corridors. Missile storage areas contained thousands of smart weapons. The ship was not just a warship, it was a planet-killing weapon designed to end civilizations. Each of our Worldbreaker-class dreadnoughts carries enough kinetic ordnance to shatter a planet's crust, Jackson explained. But that is not their primary purpose. Their purpose is to make the thought of attacking humans so terrifying that no species ever considers it. Zarath realized with growing horror that the human fleet was not there to fight a battle. It was there to demonstrate what would happen to any species that threatened human colonies. "Sir, incoming priority transmission from our home world," reported Corthan's communication officer. The message was from Zephyrian deep space monitoring stations. Human ships had appeared throughout the Empire's territory. Not attacking, just watching. Massive vessels positioned near every major world, every military base, every important facility. "How many ships do they have?" Zarath whispered. "Our sensors detect human vessels at 43 locations across the Empire," Corthan replied. "Each ship is larger than anything in our fleet. They have been traveling for months, timing their arrival to coincide perfectly with this confrontation." The humans had not just sent a fleet to fight. They had positioned forces throughout Zephyrian space simultaneously. If the Empire chose war, human ships were already in position to destroy everything they held dear. Admiral Jackson's voice returned. "High Council, you are wondering how we could coordinate such a massive operation. The answer is that humans have been watching your empire for years. We know your military capabilities, your star charts, your fleet positions, and your weaknesses." Intercepted human communications began playing on Zephyrian screens. The transmissions revealed detailed intelligence about every aspect of the Empire. Ship designs, weapon capabilities, defensive systems, political structures. The humans knew everything. We did not develop this intelligence after your scouts entered our space, Jackson continued. We developed it years ago, when we first learned that aggressive species existed in this part of the galaxy. Human policy is to be prepared for threats before they become immediate. Zareth began to understand the scope of human planning. This was not a hastily organized defense. This was a carefully coordinated operation, years in the making. You see, High Council, humans learned something important from our own history, Jackson explained. The best way to ensure peace is to make war unthinkably costly for potential aggressors. When species know that attacking humans will result in their complete destruction, they choose peace instead. The communication showed footage from inside human colonies. Millions of civilians living peacefully on dozens of worlds. Cities full of families, schools full of children, farms full of crops. These were the people the Zephyrians had planned to conquer. These are the humans you would have enslaved, Jackson said. Families who have never heard of your empire and wish you no harm. When you threaten them, you threaten everything we care about. This is why our response is so overwhelming. Zareth looked at the tactical display again. 3,000 Zephyrian ships surrounded by human dreadnoughts. But it was worse than that. Human ships throughout the Empire meant that every Zephyrian world was already targeted. Sir, analysis of human fleet positioning is complete, reported Corthan's tactical officer. If hostilities begin, they can destroy every major population center in the Empire within hours. How is that possible? Their ships have been traveling for months to reach optimal firing positions. Each vessel carries enough kinetic weapons to devastate multiple worlds. They have planned for the complete elimination of our civilization. Admiral Jackson's final message was calm and matter-of-fact. High Council, we offer you a choice. Sign a non-aggression treaty, provide reparations for the human colonies you threatened, and accept human observers to ensure compliance. In exchange, humanity will share defensive technologies and consider your empire a peaceful neighbor. And if we refuse? Zareth asked. Then, we implement scorched earth protocols and remove the Zephyrian Empire as a threat to galactic peace. Your choice. The High Council chamber fell silent. Every member understood what they were facing. The humans had not come to fight a war. They had come to prevent all future wars by demonstrating the consequences of threatening human civilians. High Council, we have reports from our frontier worlds, added Intelligence Chief Vashtek. Human ships are broadcasting the same message to our colonists: immediate evacuation or face destruction. Our own people are fleeing rather than face human weapons. Zareth realized that the Empire was already collapsing. Fear of human retaliation was spreading faster than any military force could move. The psychological impact of the human fleet was destroying Zephyrian resolve without firing a shot. Sir, we must decide quickly, urged Corthan. The human deadline expires in 10 minutes. Zareth looked at his fellow counselors. All of them showed the same expression: defeat. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, was surrendering to a species they had considered primitive. Contact Admiral Jackson, Zareth ordered. Inform him that we accept human terms. The surrender was swift and complete. Zephyrian forces withdrew from human space immediately. Reparations were paid to threatened colonies. The non-aggression treaty was signed within hours. As the human fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Jackson sent a final message to Captain Chun aboard the Defiant. Captain, mission accomplished. The Zephyrian Empire now understands human diplomacy. Chun smiled as she filed her after-action report. Mission log, final entry. The enemy has been neutralized without significant casualties. The Zephyrian Empire now understands that when humans say peace through superior firepower, we mean both parts of that equation equally. The UES Defiant turned toward home, its mission complete. One ship had been enough, because it was never meant to win alone. It was meant to demonstrate that attacking humans brought inevitable, overwhelming retaliation. The lesson echoed across the galaxy. Humanity was too dangerous to fight, and too well prepared to surprise. Peace was not just an option when dealing with humans. It was the only option. ZAR single quotes ETH watched the human ships disappear into hyperspace and realized the truth. One ship had been enough, because behind that one ship stood the entire might of human civilization, prepared to do whatever was necessary to protect their own. The Zephyrian Empire would never threaten another species again. They had learned what every wise civilization eventually discovered. Some species were best left alone, and humans were definitely one of them.